Are there any sort of personal examples you want to give about like people or structures have made Nadia's life more difficult, right? Because I get it a lot of like going to a pub and there's no ramp, right? Like
Yeah,
it makes it's like being vegan. It makes where to eat a lot more limited. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like you
yeah.
kind of have to pick somewhere that you can go.
Are you a vegan as
I
well?
am also a vegan, yeah.
So it must be something about like the reverse ret community just attracts vegans. And I think like the point about the ramp is quite interesting because obviously some ret girls are users of wheelchairs and some aren't. I kind of always use this example that I think often like leisure centers or museums or whatever will think about accessibility for disabled people in terms of like physical accessibility, because they're probably picturing like a white man in a wheelchair when they think of disabled person. So they're like, oh yeah, we've got a ramp, we're at an accessible place. And it's like, oh, have you thought of the needs of like autistic people or any other number of things that can be done? And this always happens whenever we go to airports. They're always like, oh, put Nadya in a wheelchair, she'll get through the queues faster. It's like, well, she can walk, and we have a strong interest in keeping her walking, and she does have a wheelchair because she'll be reluctant to walk, and she'll kind of refuse to walk sometimes when she just doesn't want to, and have a bit of a tantrum. So we have a wheelchair for those situations, but obviously we want to keep her walking for as long as we can. Our local leisure centre, they have disability swimming hours every Saturday night for as long as I can remember, as long as we've lived here in Bournemouth. And then after I can't even keep count now, the second lockdown, basically when they were reopening, they kind of did this like phased reopening, and then eventually everything was kind of back to normal, and they just didn't reintroduce the disability swimming hour. So I was like, I emailed them and I said, hi, like I haven't seen this on the schedule since you've reopened, is that like coming in a later phase? And they were just giving me all these like classic answers. Oh, we'll consider this in due course, we have limited resource, blah blah blah. Essentially they just decided not to prioritize it, even though it's obviously disabled people that are going to be losing out the most, because like during lockdown, like I've really enjoyed like running and working out in my living room and swimming in the sea and all the stuff that's accessible to me that's not accessible to Nadya. So it's like so much more important that these places prioritize the needs of the people that need it most. So I like went to talk to them quite a few times and tried to make a big song and dance about it. Got Nadya's social worker involved because like they're a partly council funded leisure centre as well. And then she started talking to them. So we were eventually getting somewhere in this big thing, and then lockdown has happened again. So we haven't got any progress, but I'm gonna start this fight again when they try to reopen.
It's interesting that as well, because I think that there is such a thing of there's something about caring about somebody with Rett syndrome that for a lot of people really makes them very good at like tearing a house down. You know what I mean? Like really makes them very good at, I don't want to I'm trying to think of a way that makes it sound like I'm not belittling it, but like really good at like kicking up a fuss. You know what I mean? And
I've
like
always said
making
this, that I'm much, if it's sticking up for myself, in a situation, can't do it, hate confrontation.
Same,
If it's sticking up for Nadya, get out of my way.
Absolutely the same. Yeah.
Yeah.